Food drives the world. Apart from clean drinking water, access to adequate food is the primary concern for most people on Earth. India has come a long way from the frequent famines of the 1940s to the Green Revolution of the 60s, to a point today where India's surplus food stocks has enabled the government to introduce the Right to Food Bill for all its citizens. Indian agriculture has indeed covered a long distance. However, even as we take pride in the efforts of our farmers, some individuals and organizations have raised fears about the quality of our food today. Let's hear what they have to say.
हमारे कई खाने के पदार्थों में पेस्टिसाइड्स मौजूद हैं, यानी कीड़े मारने का जहर मौजूद है।
हमने कुछ माओ को कन्विंस किया, उनका हमने सैंपल लिया, उसकी हमने टेस्टिंग की एंड जितना मैंने सोचा था मैं बिल्कुल शॉक्ड।
मैंने जब कासरगोड में डॉक्टरी शुरू की तब मैंने देखा कि ज्यादातर सभी घरों में ऐसे पेशेंट थे जो एक लंबे अरसे से बीमार थे।
एक एंडोसल्फान और क्लोरोपाइरीफॉस इस तरह के कुछ पेस्टिसाइड्स हैं, तो एंडोसल्फान करीब 800% ज्यादा मिला उस माँ के दूध में।
800%?
जी।
जयपुर के अंदर जितने भी महिला चिकित्सालय हैं उनके अंदर हमने स्टडी करी कि बच्चा जब जन्मता है तो जन्म के समय उनके अंदर कुछ विकृतियां होती हैं, जिसमें कि मस्तिष्क विहीनता, माने बच्चा जन्मा और उसके दिमाग ही नहीं डेवलप हुआ,
क्योंकि माँ जो है जो सब्जियां फल खा रही हैं उससे उसको,
जी हाँ,
उसमें पेस्टिसाइड है।
जी हाँ।
तो ये IIT कानपुर में आपने ये रिसर्च किया?
जी हाँ।
If true, these revelations deserve the highest degree of concern. Coming from none other than Amir Khan and aired on his popular television show Satyamev Jayate, should we doubt its integrity? But then, truth is not thrust on people by loud talk and thunderous applause. It is that which prevails. It would surprise many to know that Dr. Rashmi Sanghi, who put us all on our toes by her startling revelations about the presence of endosulfan in mother's milk in the samples she collected from Bhopal, never actually visited Bhopal. Nor did she conduct the research for and on behalf of the IIT Kanpur, as she claimed. Based on an RTI application, the response from the esteemed institution, as well as from her, reveals the truth. In fact, her published paper states that all the women from whom samples were collected did not suffer from any illness in the recent past, had normal deliveries, and that both mother and infant appeared healthy. Is it not miraculous for all of them to lead healthy lives with endosulfan levels in their blood 800% more than the permissible limit? Moreover, if the problem is as common as it is being made out, then why did Ms. Sanghi have to abort her research due to difficulties in finding other suitable samples from other parts of the country? Remarkably, neither the researcher nor the presenter cared to find out the source of the poison. Consequently, was it proper to draw a hurried inference that the endosulfan in breast milk originated from the intake of vegetables and fruits contaminated by pesticides? Half-hearted research makes only half-cooked stories. These speculations are cleverly sprinkled in such programs to shock viewers and get their sympathy. Let us now take the case of Kasargod that left Dr. Mohan Kumar perplexed and concerned.
कैंसर, न्यूरोलॉजिकल प्रॉब्लम, सेरेब्रल पॉल्सी, दिमाग का लकवा, मानसिक बीमारियां, मिर्गी के दौरे, बच्चों में विकलांगता, एक दूसरी चीज महिलाओं में मिसकैरेजेस यानी गर्भपात। तब मुझे अंदाजा ही नहीं था कि इस सब के पीछे एंडोसल्फान है।
The hue and cry with respect to Kasargod was similar to the qualms raised by Dr. Kabra.
पूरे ऊपर से खोपड़ी खुली रहती है, दिमाग बना हुआ नहीं रहता है।
इसका पेस्टिसाइड के साथ क्या संबंध है?
हमें मालूम है कि ये फोलिक एसिड एक विटामिन होता है, तो फोलिक एसिड की कमी के कारण से ये होता है।
अच्छा।
अब सवाल ये था कि इन महिलाओं के अंदर कमी क्यों हो रही है? वहाँ वो पेस्टिसाइड्स यूज हो रहे थे जिनका हमें मालूम है, जिनको हम कहते हैं टेराटोजेनिक। टेराटोजेनिक माने ये जो हैं, जो गर्भ के अंदर ये विकृति कर सकते हैं।
Scary scenarios indeed. To verify the claims, we spoke to the country's leading agri-scientist on plant protection at the Indian Council of Agricultural Research, New Delhi.
Now, much of these things have emotional analysis than scientific analysis. It is very clear to all of us that pesticides are used only in agricultural farms, but many of those clinical reports are from those locations which are far away from agriculture. Now, if somebody is using some toxicant, himself and his family or her family should be the first target of such episodes, which we have not ever seen. In all those cases, be it in Malwa region of Punjab, in Jaipur or in Kasaragod, it is not at all clear whether those episodes can be directly related to a pesticide use alone. Hence, what is the unreal or surreal situation we have created by mystifying that aerial spraying of endosulfan caused birth defects or cancer or teratological problems is an issue which has to be deeply analyzed with a large sense of scientific temper.
The fact of the matter is that some vested interests were keen to attribute every ailment in the area to the spraying of endosulfan. An open letter to the Chief Justice of India was published in various newspapers bringing out this fact.
No teratogenic pesticides, pesticides that cause birth defects, are allowed for use anywhere in the world for foods for international trade.
The Indian law does not allow any pesticide to be registered or licensed if they have any mutagenicity, carcinogenicity or teratogenicity potential. With my last 30 years experience as a toxicologist, I can tell by conviction that none of the currently registered pesticides in India is a teratogen or a carcinogen.
So it is for Dr. Kabra to prove that the scary diseases he so overwhelmingly speaks of are in fact caused by pesticides. To grab viewers' attention even more, their fear psychosis has been touched intentionally in the program. One such effort calls the Bhatinda-Bikaner mail train the Cancer Express.
हालात इतने खराब हैं कि राजस्थान के बीकानेर जिले के एक चैरिटेबल कैंसर अस्पताल जाने के लिए पंजाब से एक ट्रेन चलती है। भटिंडा से बीकानेर जाने वाली इस ट्रेन को कैंसर ट्रेन कहा जाता है।
Well, the government is aware of the large type of rhetorics and publicity which has come up in recent times to alarm the communities of consumers in this country in regard to the overbearing load of pesticides as they are perceiving.
Bruce Ames at the University of California, Berkeley, became world famous for inventing the test that the world uses to assess the danger of pesticides. He found that half of today's synthetic pesticides cause cancer in humans at high doses. And everybody said, oh, we must stop using the synthetic pesticides. But then he tested the natural pesticides that are in our food, mostly in our fruits and vegetables, put there by Mother Nature to protect them, the produce from insects, fungi, bacteria. Half of the natural pesticides cause cancer in humans at high doses.
The dose causes the poison. There is no difference between a remedy and a poison other than the dose. So whereas 1 aspirin a day will cure your headache and help prevent heart attacks, 50 aspirin will kill you. And that's the same thing. Under the dose testing, the synthetic pesticides show that they're cancerous at very high doses. At the residue levels that people are exposed to, there's no indication they cause any harm whatsoever, and in fact, they may actually make us healthier than untreated foods.
Detoxification is possible of even pesticides in nature, on crop plants, on insects, on the target organisms, on the non-target organisms, including human beings. There is no misplaced fear that pesticides are going to be harmful at any cost.
And the pesticide residues today are to the point where 1 cup of tea has about 1,000 times greater theoretical cancer risk than a year's worth of pesticide residues. It should be the furthest thing from their mind.
So one thing is clear. Practically anything from tea to salt to pesticides could be fatal in high doses. That brings us to the critical question of how much pesticide residue from the fields is actually reaching our kitchens. To find out, we visited the country's premier research laboratory for monitoring pesticide residue at the national level.
In 2005 and 6, the Ministry of Agriculture, Department of Agriculture and Cooperation started the monitoring of pesticide residue at national level, and we have the network of 21 laboratories across the country.
These laboratories bring out weekly data from wholesale market commodities sampled every week, and these samples are analyzed for various pesticide residue with greatest precisions possible in this world and expertise for analysis and interpretation.
Pesticide residue is a trace level analysis, and we have to detect, we have to quantify, we have to confirm a particular pesticide in food commodities at very low level. So the quality of data at the trace level is very important, and for that our laboratories are 17025 accredited by the Department of Science and Technology, by the National Accreditation Board of Testing and Calibration. That give the credibility and authenticity of the data which we generate.
Yeah, our finding goes to show that not more than 1.5% of the total 21 commodities we go for analysis, not more than 1.5% exceeded the maximum residue limit for the prescribed for that given pesticide.
Similar pattern has been observed by the other advanced country, for example European Union, UK, US, FDA and Australia. They also reported the residue about 2 to 3% sample about the maximum residue limit.
Only 3% of the total samples showed the pesticide residue above the maximum residue level, or MRL. Does that mean that those 3% can be injurious to our health?
Just detection of any pesticide doesn't mean that food is unsafe for the consumption. The toxicity of a pesticide is based on the acceptable daily intake. If we detect the pesticide, whether it is above maximum limit or below the maximum limit, they are much lower than the acceptable daily intake.
We have generated data for the last 4 years to the tune of about 60,000 samples, and we are now confident, and the rest of the world is also respecting our confidence.
It is not an alarming position, I can say.
Thanks to Dr. Sharma, we can all breathe more easily now and continue to eat without the fear of poison on our plates. Meanwhile, let's hear more apprehensions raised on the show and the reactions that we got from the farmers whose very farming methods were being questioned.
These are all impacts of जहर जिसको हमने दवा करके किसान को गुमराह किया है कि बेटा और स्प्रे करो, अच्छी चीज तो ज्यादा होनी चाहिए ना,
दवा है डालो,
दवा है तो तुम जितनी ज्यादा हो लोगे अच्छा करेगा.
Farmers are not fools that they will spray any amount of pesticides that people tell them to. The label on the pesticide bottle mentions the dose to be applied. This is not a new job for us. If we delay the chemical spraying even by 2 days, almost 10% of our crop is lost. If we stop the use of chemicals altogether, our output will fall by 75%.
तो ये अवशेष जो कीटनाशक जहर है जो खेती में इस्तेमाल किए जा रहे हैं वो वही नहीं रहने वाले हैं, आपके खाने में आने वाले हैं.
वो बिल्कुल एक मजाक सीगा.
The program was a joke. I totally disagree with the views expressed on the show. I invite Aamir Khan to stay in our village for 1 year. We will bear all his expenses. We will show him how farming is done. They claim that the produce is sold in the market a day after spraying, whereas on wheat crop we stop all sprays 1 month before harvesting. If you apply the chemicals in the prescribed dosage, use the right amounts of water and follow the recommended waiting periods between spraying and harvesting, then there is no way there can be any pesticide residue in the produce.
बात यह है कि देखिए जो शहर में आदमी रह रहा है उसके आम के बारे में जो हम लोग जानते हैं वो लोग नहीं जानते हैं, और हम लोग अगर जहर में आम धोएंगे बनाएंगे तो क्यों खाएंगे, हम लोगों को मेन आम ही खाने ही मिलता है, और हम लोग कहाँ ये फल कहाँ इतने महंगे खा पाते हैं. फ्लावरिंग के टाइम ये धुलाई जो होती है ये आम पे नहीं होती है, ये तो फूल के ऊपर धुलाई होती है, उसका दवा से कोई टच ही नहीं है। हम लोग अगर धोएंगे नहीं तो ये जो फ्लावरिंग है, ये जो कीड़ा है, कीड़ा आम को चूस लेता है, बोर को फ्लावरिंग को चूस लेता है, फिर इसमें आम बैठने नहीं देता है। हमारा सऊदी अरब भी आम जा रहा, हमारी बाहर मुल्कों अपने जो जिसका जहाँ पर सेटिंग है एक्सपोर्ट का वो अपनी सेटिंग कर रहा, लेकिन आम हमारी ही मंडी, हमारे ही किसानों से हमारी ही पैकिंग में आम ले रहा। अगर कोई जहर संबंधी कोई मामला होता तो ये हमारा आम एक्सपोर्ट बाहर क्यों जाता?
Notably, the Sikkim model of organic farming was highly recommended in the show. Even while appreciating the Sikkim model, we must be aware of the official statistics in terms of average yields per hectare of crops in Sikkim in comparison to an intensive farming state like Punjab. The figures speak for themselves. Let us not forget that a judicious use of agrochemicals and fertilizers led to our green revolution in the 1960s, so much so that we have never faced a famine-like situation that was so frequent earlier. Over the last decade, availability of high-yielding seed varieties, scientific improvements in agrochemicals, and innovative agricultural practices have spread the success story to many other states across the country. Today we can be proud of being the world's leading producer of many agricultural commodities.
जो ग्रीन रेवोल्यूशन के पायनियर हैं डॉक्टर बुरलॉग, उन्होंने यही बात कही थी कि ये आपने फैसला करना है कि आपने भूख से मरना है जी, या केमिकल्स को बर्दाश्त करना है। केमिकल्स का कोई, उन्होंने कहा था कि बैड इफ़ेक्ट नहीं अगर आप इसका जुडिशियस यूज़ करेंगे। इंटेंसिव क्रॉपिंग में जब ज़मीन बिल्कुल बेली ही ना रहे, एक क्रॉप के बाद दूसरी क्रॉप ली जाए, तो उसमें बीमारियां आनी लाजमी है और बीमारियों का इलाज करना भी लाजमी है।
The biased format of the show forced the presenter to ridicule some bitter truths about organic produce.
कैलिफोर्निया में स्पिनच का बैन कर दिया, सब डिस्ट्रॉय किया कि वो ऑर्गेनिक स्पिनच, लिखा ऑर्गेनिक स्पिनच खाना मत नहीं तो मर जाएंगे। सो ऑर्गेनिक में डेंजर कैलिफोर्निया का है।
Sorry, this is no laughing matter, Mr. Khan. We wish you were more acquainted with facts rather than being enamored with fiction.
In 2006 in the United States, we had a spinach outbreak that killed 15 people of E. coli. And it turns out it was organically grown spinach, and they traced the E. coli, the offending bacteria, to naturally raised, all grass-fed beef farm about a mile away from the spinach field.
In Germany, just last year, more than 40 people died, and many thousands had permanent kidney damage from organic bean sprouts, which were contaminated with manure, sewage going on them for fertilizer. Instead, in conventional agriculture, mostly we use clean nitrogen fertilizer with no bacterial contamination.
Assaults on agrochemicals or pesticides are not new. There have been many instances in the past aimed at maligning the industry, but almost on each occasion, the accusers have had to eat their own words and tender unconditional apologies, or even lose in courts of law for baseless allegations. It would not be wrong to say that the advocacy against agrochemicals is a sponsored strategy to create a niche for organic produce in the market.
The most important thing for consumers to know is that the organic claims are a marketing claim. And the USDA does not have organic in its food safety division. They have organic in its agricultural marketing division.
In the first place, the word organic is misused in the term organic farming. The word organic in science means carbon-based. We are organic. This tree is organic. All food is organic because it's all carbon-based. Therefore, to say that organic farming is somehow superior is only a marketing term, or what you might call propaganda.
Traveling in parts of Punjab, we came across progressive farmers who felt frustrated, rather cheated, by the equivocal dealings of such propagandists.
सोचता था कि कुछ पढ़े लिखे होने का फ़ायदा भी हो, तो ये सोचा था कि कोई नई चीज़ मैं करूं, तो मैंने स्टार्ट करा था ऑर्गेनिक फार्मिंग से। मैं रजिस्टर्ड फार्मर हूं विद द ऑर्गेनिक काउंसिल ऑफ पंजाब। मैंने 2-3 साल उनके साथ बहुत बढ़िया खेती करी, लेकिन बाद में पता चला कि वो एक फार्मर को कहते हैं ना चक्करगिनी की तरह घुमा रहे हैं। वो कहते कुछ हैं, होता कुछ है। फॉस्फोरस की कमी के लिए क्या चीज़ चाहिए? इनऑर्गेनिक में तो डाइमोनियम फॉस्फेट है, बट दे से कि यूज़ रॉक फॉस्फेट। और जो रॉक फॉस्फेट है दैट इज़ द रॉ मटेरियल फॉर डीएपी आल्सो। अब ये एक डुअल पॉलिसी सी होगी, इस साइड में यूज़ करो तो ऑर्गेनिक हो गया, वही चूज इधर यूज़ करो तो वो इनऑर्गेनिक बन गया।
The other negative about organic farming is it uses more land to produce the same amount of food. Therefore, we have to cut more nature away in order to grow the same food.
वो कह रहे थे कि आपने जब ऑर्गेनिक फार्मिंग करनी है तो आपको 1 एकड़ के साथ में 20-20 फुट जगह छोड़नी चाहिए। अगर 1 एकड़ के आजू बाजू 20-20 फुट जगह छोड़ दो तो मेरे पास बचेगी कितनी?
The other negative thing about organic food is it costs more money. It makes no sense. You don't see poor people going to the store and buying organic and paying twice as much for the same thing.
ये सर लोग जो ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस हैं दे कम टू द फार्मर, उसको बहुत बड़े बड़े वो बताते हैं कि इसका ये होगा, आपका गेहूँ 3000 रुपये किलो बिकेगा। सर क्वांटिटी देखो कितनी कम हो जाएगी, ठीक है। आपका बासमती इतना महंगा बिकेगा, सर बासमती कहाँ बिकता है? यू गो टू ए राजपुरा मार्केट, यहाँ से 40 किलोमीटर दूर है, यहाँ पर लोग रो रहे हैं। These people think farmers एक एक्सपेरिमेंटल बेस है, इसके ऊपर जितना आप एक्सपेरिमेंट कर सकते हो कर, ताकि आप इनका एक्सपेरिमेंट गवर्नमेंट को दिखा सको कि हमने ये कर दिया, हमने ये कर दिया।
Our farmer friends from Punjab had a piece of advice for Aamir Khan.
The claim that we are spreading poison through our produce would obviously anger the farmers. Instead, it would have been worthwhile to conduct a program through an expert for safe and judicious use of chemicals. If they insist on organic farming alone, the entire nation would starve and nothing else.
Thanks to science and technology, we're not just free from hunger today, but we can now be doubly sure of having safe food. Now, whether this fear being created about the food we eat is for real or merely rhetoric, that's for you to decide.
This industry has continually evolved, continually made its products safer. If people really knew the science and the chemistry of it, they would just stop worrying about this altogether. Our food on planet Earth has never been safer to eat than it is today.